Good morning, good afternoon, good afternoon, wherever you're hailing from. Welcome to another episode of the Level Up Hour here on OpenShift TV. I am Chris Short, executive producer of OpenShift TV. I am joined today by the one and only Langdon White, technical marketing manager on my team here at Red Hat. So, Langdon, without further ado, let us know what we're doing today here on this Level Up Hour. And maybe, for first timers, let them know what the Level Up Hour is.
Right, that's a thing.
That's a thing, yeah.
So we do this show approximately every week, and we are here to talk about like how to take kind of those rel administration skills or any other really system administration skills, and talk about how do you kind of parlay them perhaps into containers and into OpenShift. And so I'm Langdon White. I am a co-host of the show with Mr. Short, and I also work as a technical marketing manager. And we tend to cover lots of random stuff, and we try to have fun on the show. There's always show notes that I produce after the show with trying to recap what happened, and I usually put in like further reading, and I pull out the funny clips or what I think are the funny clips, which are usually self-deprecating. So they're fun. You should check those out. And we'll put up a slide with the link to last time's show notes. But it's the Level Up Hour on GitHub is where they land.
Awesome. So yeah, I am wearing my Ansible shirt today because today's the last day of Ansible Fest. So shout out to my former coworkers or current coworkers, I guess, like previous teammates, and what they're going through right now.
Still teammates, in
teammates,
a sense.
Yeah. Like I don't know how to like the team I used to work with.
Right.
Shout
my
out
former
to them.
team.
Yeah,
my
former
life.
team. They are all striving hard to get Ansible Fest done. So shout out to them today. It is a free event. If you haven't registered yet and checked it out, like please do go to ansiblefest.com and hook them up.
Yeah, I actually had a few announcements like that. We also have Envoycon is tomorrow.
That's right. I will be there for that.
Not a free event, but is not all that expensive. It's I think $50 to register for that. It is on I think quite a good platform. We used Hopin.2 for our conference a couple weeks ago, and this one's on that too, and I quite liked it. I think it's pretty good. The other announcement I was going to make too is Red Hat Summit CFP is I think officially open. So go check out Red Hat Summit. It's complicated what they're doing for that next year, right? I think it's like 4 different events. So I don't know, Chris, do you remember the details
of Summit? It's 3 different events. There's April, June, and then a fall event. And the idea is April's getting programmed by the Summit team itself. So like they're figuring out what they want to do for like, the big kind of showy thing.
Right.
June stuff is going to be more of the breakout sessions and hands-on type thing. And then what we're hoping happens is that we're at a point in the world where we can travel again and potentially maybe have an in-person thing in that fall slot that's not quite slotted in, but TBD. That's why we've kind of broken it up the way we did, because we realized that like if there's a chance we can get together with you in 2021, it's going to be worth taking that chance potentially because we've been apart for so long.
Right.
And we realize that like a lot of stuff happens face to face compared to online like this, right? Like, yes, we stream all the time here on OpenShift TV, and we broadcast a lot of learning, but what we don't always get back is that feedback and that, hey, I got this question about XYZ thing in my bespoke environment. Like sometimes people aren't as willing to share that in the public eye, right? Like, but they're more willing to be like, hey, so I got this problem. I've been depending upon this little thing. It's called overt, and right? Like
exactly.
Yeah. So the idea there is that hopefully we'll be able to get together at the end of the year next year. TBD for the fall part, but April is definitely like locked in the books. June, the CFP is open for right now, and October's TBD.
So there were a couple questions in the chat. Narendra have asked if the Ansible Fest videos are available for later viewing, and I believe that they will be if
I just don't know
you
where.
are registered.
Yeah,
I think you have to have registered.
I know for certain if you have registered, they will be in Entrado like forever, right? Or
Mm,
for as long as,
right.
Ansible Fest said the Ansible team wants them there. I believe and hope that they will have the capacity to actually put them out on the YouTube channel, because now it's actually like an official thing. Like the Ansible team really never had like a good use for their YouTube channel, like having worked on it. But yeah, like uh, now they do with all the COVID stuff. So yeah, they've bulked it up and are probably going to look at publishing some stuff there. Carol Chen might be the one to ask about that, to be honest with you.
Well, it looks like JP Dade in the chat confirms that you can, or like that he's read that somewhere.
Okay,
The other comment I
sweet.
wanted to definitely target was nothing like Boston in the fall. Living in Boston all year round, I completely agree. It's a great city, especially in the fall. And he said so Bruins games, but like professional hockey is normally. I thought that was pretty much year round. So because the hockey season just seems like it's forever.
It does seem
Um,
like it's forever. Yes.
my wife is super into hockey, so I always,
Oh, I didn't know
am
that.
like, I know when it's the serious part of the season when I'm not allowed to use the television except to watch Bruins games.
Ah,
So yeah, it's kind of amusing. So let's maybe get into it.
yeah.
Unless,
Let's
oh, I
dive
wanted
in.
to. I
You got
have one more
slides?
pitch,
Oh, a
which I'm
pitch. Got it.
also
Sorry.
wearing the T-shirt for, which is the Community Leadership Summit, which usually takes place around OSCON and is for community management. And I think it's a good little conference. You should definitely check it out. So Narendra also asked if we have snow in Boston. We do in theory, but not till usually it's like later, like January,
Yeah.
since the climate changing activity. And so right now it's actually super nice still. It's kind of weird. It's like 60 or higher
Yeah.
Fahrenheit. I can't do Celsius.
Alexa, what's 60 degrees Celsius in shit, never mind. No, forget it.
She's feisty usually. So let's see if I can share the screen without sharing video of
Points. Yes.
you all and points. Exactly.
That's for
And let me
later.
drag the little doowacky down here so I can find it. And so, as we said before, this is the Level Up Hour in case you were lost. And let's get into it. So you can find us on Twitter. I'm at Langdon with a 1, and Mr. Short is at Chris Short.
That's me.
You can join us on the Discord, and remember, joining us on the Discord is a reason to get some sweet internet points. So we have very few of those submissions, so it would definitely rock your scores. Chris says it's 17 degrees Celsius here today. He, of course, lives nowhere near me, so that's not all that useful in converting the 60 degrees.
Right.
All right,
But I
so
think we do have a similar climate pattern right now. It feels like
yeah, I think so. I think
Detroit
it's
is like a couple of days ahead of whatever Boston's about to get.
right. Yeah, generally speaking, that's a pretty good guess.
Yeah.
So one of the things, so we have some things that we're going to talk about during the show, but one of the things that I really want to try to get some feedback on in the audience is what should we kind of tackle next. And so what I was hoping is to kind of lead in with that question so that the audience could hear it. And, obviously we're usually on somewhat of a lag. So please, try to think of stuff during the show, put it in the chat. We can try to talk about it or whatever, depending on the kind of ideas you have, just to kind of get some feedback on what we might want to see in the show. Some things to think about. And one I think we're going to start with is actually taking an application and moving it first into containers and then moving it into OpenShift itself to kind of
nice.
go through that whole process.
Yeah, let's do that.
And I struggled a bit with how do we not do WordPress, because it seems like WordPress is always the example. Excuse me. Sorry. So we're gonna work on something else, but we'll get to that in a second. The other, sorry, I had another idea too, but I have to find my notes. And which was another thing that we could talk about was application fit without actually installing, and we've done that a little bit, and we but we could kind of take it a little bit further. Is like basically you want to know if an application meets your needs. One really good way to do that is inside a container, so that you don't have to cruft up your machine while you are doing it. So that's another kind of thing to think about. And then the last thing that I really want to get going, but takes much more coordination, is also doing some interviewing of various experts in the kind of container land, or right on that edge between kind of the operating system and kind of container orchestration.
We have a site for the Level Up Hour, by the way.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Here.
And we've got and one of the things I keep thinking about doing is actually converting my kind of janky GitHub Markdown repos into like an actual Pages site from GitHub.
Yeah. Like Narenda's been talking about that in chat. Use a Jamstack. Like I could actually build you a Hugo site like that, right?
Yeah.
I've gotten it down to such. I think I have like 8 or 9 websites now, just because Hugo is so easy to use.
Nice. Well, maybe we should cover that in a show. Is do that
maybe
in a container?
Who knows?
Do you do it? Do you do it in containers?
It's all in Netlify, so yeah, it's all container driven. I can actually specify a container image to use if I so choose, so that could be interesting, right? Like, because what is it? ChrisShort.net uses like version 0.56.3 or something of Hugo, and like another site could use like the latest version of Hugo. So that would be interesting to kind of like dissect that, maybe potentially at some point. From a dependency era, like how do you handle this legacy dependency inside your container environment? Well, you need your image to just be there and available, right? So I've gone ahead and, out of concern for November 1st, whatever happens with Docker Hub, I've gone ahead and backed up all my versions of Hugo that I use and put them in Quay for my own personal use in case things mess the bed that day.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Sorry for the little bit of delay there. Zoom decided it didn't want to respond to me.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you, Zoom.
Yeah. So just shout out for the show notes. They are in a Markdown file. It's very readable, at least on the GitHub site, as well as, that's kind of the idea behind Markdown, which I think is kind of cool. So check those out.
Yeah.
And we will not do points yet.
Mm-mm.
So I'm going to pull that down here. I'm going to make.
Can you drop the GitHub link in though? Can you copy?
Oh yeah, that? Sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
I often forget. Let's see. Oh, did you do the Discord link already?
No, but I can. Let me drop that real quick. Discord, have at it, folks. Feel free to join. Continue the discussion later on. There's a Level Up Hour channel, and you can actually participate in the live stream chat via Discord if you so choose. That's entirely up to you. I don't know why you would want to decouple your chat in your video, but some people do. So there you go.
Some people
we
do.
make it an option.
All right. So, let's do. So what were we going to start with? Okay. So we were going to start with Nextcloud. However, we're starting basically from scratch. So
right.
So
we're doing Nextcloud in a container. So we're
gonna I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Keep going.
So
yeah.
I hadn't
Intro
said that
this
word
thing.
Yet.
Yeah.
So what the idea is, all right. So if we check out Nextcloud, if you're unfamiliar with it, it is a kind of content storage server that is open source, but then has a commercial version as well. I don't know if they do proprietary or like open core or whatever it's called, or if it's all open source. But we're going to worry about the open source version of it. And so basically what I wanted to kind of take us through was how do we approach trying to solve this problem, because I like running everything in containers, so I want to go and find how to deploy it. So let's take a look at the obvious and ask the Google, how do we deploy Nextcloud? All right, so we can look at deployment recommendations, and I have done a little bit of this research before, but it's not all kind of top of mind. So a few things to keep in mind, right, is we want an Apache, we're probably going to choose MariaDB just because it's actually open source, and then PHP 5.6. PHP, unlike many languages, has the fun feature of its minor versions are not always backwards compatible. So we want to make sure we get 5.6 instead of, say, 5.7 or something.
Or 7.
Or 7, yes, exactly. Yes, major versions for sure, that I can appreciate, but the minor version thing drives me crazy. Many years ago, I was doing a lot of Drupal work, and all of the Linux is upgraded to a new minor version of PHP,
and broke everything.
Drupal
I remember that. Yeah.
didn't work.
Yep.
So app streams and containers would have actually been a huge benefit for that.
Yeah.
All right.
No kidding.
So I know I found this before. So let's take a look at maybe manual installation here. And this is a lot of words. So
it's a lot of words.
A lot of words.
It's a lot of words.
So I think we're going to do some cheating. So I know I've seen some hints because they do have some deployments on Docker containers. And of course, I'm not going to find them easily because that would be too easy to do live on the air.
Right.
Let's see. We can try it this way too. But the point being is just I want to get started. They moved the search in GitHub. They moved it to the right.
They've moved everything at least once.
It makes me confused. So let's look for the keyword Docker file, which apparently is not in Nextcloud server. I know I've seen this before. But we can also just start without it and try to figure it out. So we can just do one last ditch. Wait, maybe here. This is what
Docker
I was looking
image for Nextcloud. That sounds like
that seems obvious, right? So what I did want to do though is kind of going back to that. Where did we see the deployment guy here? Thingy. I've been so good lately. So
yes, you have. I almost didn't.
So what I wanted to do was, sorry.
I almost didn't catch that. You've been so good.
Exactly. So I was just looking for like an explanation here, but I'm not really seeing one. But the point being is that I wanted to do kind of a complicated setup rather than the most minimalistic one, just to kind of, show how you might do that.
And you're going to do this in 40 minutes. I like this.
Well, no, we're going to start it today.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, like this complex setup is, you got a load balancer. It's designed to be like small office friendly, I'm assuming, right? Like 2 to 4 application servers, right? Like storage with NFS, right? Like they're thinking mid-sized enterprise teams. So like, this would replace your Google Docs kind of thing.
Right.
For your team.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And they actually
G Suite or whatever they call it, Google Workspace now. Yeah. Like you could get super complex with it as well. And
but if you notice, this is actually just more instances of the prior one in a sense, right? Like
kind of,
it's not actually a different architecture. It's just now we've got 2 load balancers, right? But it still had a load balancer before. So one of the things that I would kind of like to show is that with OpenShift or like a container orchestration platform, we can go from the one load balancer to 2 load balancers without any extra effort in a sense. We can just, twiddle some YAML basically and make that go. And we can even do it if we really want to get complicated, we can even do it on demand, right? So we could do it using, automatic scaling. So that's kind of what we're going to try to accomplish. And let's look at what they have already. One thing we haven't really covered, which when I was looking at this before, they did, but I think it's not in this one. It must be in a different one, is multi-base image containers, which are, I think, super weird. So let's see. I
Sorry,
was just looking at the comments.
Nurendev says you still need to download Octotree.
I think, yeah, everybody loves PHP though, so that should be fine. I'm pretty sure almost as many people who love Perl, which is, of course, what it's based on.
I mean, I had a need for PHP recently, and then it went away. But
as soon as you saw the words PHP,
no, but like I wanted to spin up the Fever API, like the original API, because it was very good at saying, hey, here's a whole bunch of like RSS feeds and like break it down and see which ones are the most popular or most mentioned keywords and like actually add like a scoring kind of thing to it. So I pulled down the old janky PHP stuff, which was written well before containers were ever thought of, and like just trying to hack away at it and hack away at it and hack away at it. I was like, screw this, I'll find something different. And sure enough, InnoReader has a feature that does that, so I turned it on and off I went.
right. Okay, so because what we're really trying to do is give a model for how we would do this in kind of the real world based on an application that you might have in your enterprise or in your company. What we're going to do is we're just going to kind of like shove everything into one container, because basically the first goal,
why not put it in the environment? Yeah,
exactly. So so we're just gonna say make their Nextcloud. Oh boy. And we're gonna start off with and let's start. Should we start with UBI?
the UBI has a PHP image.
So this is where, and we've talked about this in the show before.
Yeah.
If you are using the UBI from a registered RHEL machine, you will actually get access to all of the RHEL content.
Right.
So yes, actually, I believe the UBI basic, or without that subscription tie-in, has PHP, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't have any databases. So I think it has the kind of programming languages, but not the databases. So somebody comments that, are we looking at Nextcloud 20? I think I was.
Yeah, it was like last week when it was released or something like that, if I remember correctly, like the past couple of weeks.
Well, we could always upgrade. So
it might be easier, I think, is what Andrew's saying.
Yeah. No, but I think in the Git repo, I saw that it was 20. Yeah, see.
Your webpage says version 11.
Oh.
Well,
where does it say that?
Oh,
look at that. It does.
Yeah.
Check out hey, look at that. There's even a nice link. I didn't even notice. Ooh, that's pretty.
Mm-hmm. Thank you,
all right,
Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew. And then, so let's look here. Okay, so that's a whole lot of PHP.
That's a lot of PHP.
So, but that's what you get to do. So we get to, we're going to start with that, and we're just going to do from UBI. Oh my goodness. So the only problem with this might be that if there's a lot of typing, I'm not good at it.
You're not good at typing?
No.
I thought there was a UBI language.
Oh, do you think they're a base image?
PHP,
oh, there is.
Like UBI. That's what I'm talking
there's
about.
There's definitely
like Node and all that other stuff. I wonder if there's a PHP. Let me look.
There is. And
well, there's the UBI app stream too.
Right. That's what I was kind of wondering is.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know if you can limit the registries you search. Maybe you can.
You
but
so
we have UBI 8 PHP 7.2. Oops. My Tmux links again bite me. Look at that. Here's a 5.6 even.
There you go, bud.
But let's see. Is it still saying? No, it's using 7.2 because we were just looking at the old version.
Right. So yeah, you can use 7.2, 3, or 4. So yeah, let's get ripped. Let's do some real PHP. Exactly. So for folks that don't know PHP very well, let's do a little history lesson here real quick while you're figuring that out. So PHP 5 was the latest version for a long, long time. And like they did 5.1, 5.6, 5.7, 5.8. I think they got to. And then they realized like, we're about to do a whole rewrite of PHP. So we're going to skip 6 and just call it PHP 7. because PHP 6 was basically like IPv5 a test, right? So like they just jumped to 7, and 7. One of the guarantees behind 7 was that you could potentially take your latest 5x code and run it, and it would just be more optimized than 7. That I don't think played out fully as well as they hoped it would, but that was one of the promises I think that they tried to make. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Exactly. So one of the nice things about the kind of the ecosystem catalog, right, is that it not only has kind of the Docker file, which they probably should change that to container file one of these days, but it also just straight up lists all the packages it has. So we can relatively quickly say, oh, look, okay, it has libcurl, so that should be good. C-type. Okay, so we're going to need to install C-type, but we don't necessarily know.
To a bunch of helpful images, by the way. You can get Apache 2.4 with PHP 7.3 as a UBI image. Boom.
Right.
Yeah.
So cool. We're going to say yum search C-type. I wonder if this is something that's just kind of built in though. Oh, shoot. So one thing, just kind of a tidbit on RHEL and actually most of the Linuxes is you can do many operations with yum and DNF as your regular user, like search. However, you have to pull the cache again. So you will have 2 copies of the cache, right, for security reasons.
One in your local and one in the system.
One in your local.
Yeah.
So I try to make sure I do sudo on my searches, even though I don't strictly need it, just so I don't have to have both caches. So I'm not going to worry about the C-type because I feel like it might already be there, but when we run into the error, we'll remember. But that's only because I did PHP for a while back.
All right.
So let's see. DOM. Again, I think that's there. GD probably is not, which is the graphic tool chain, but we have it in our specially chosen repo or container image. So yeah, I think a bunch of these I think might just be there already. So we could manually go through each of these, but I'm going to cheat and just try to wing it. And hopefully
it's going to tell you what's wrong.
Exactly.
I mean, you'll know what's missing the second you try to run it.
Right. Yeah. So PHP, we probably don't have, I wonder if we don't have any of the connectors. Oops. Many things are still called MySQL.
Nope. We still got it.
Yep, still got it. Although the MariaDB does have its own connector in here now. Huh, that's interesting.
Weird.
What and then
MariaDB
we could also
do to SQL?
Yeah. We could also just check for Postgres, which I actually generally prefer. And it is there as well. And then, okay, so file info, that would be probably a useful one. Oh my goodness, I can't type.
Wow, did you just hit your
my
volume
keyboard?
key? Where the hell? Where are your hands? I'm the one with nerve damage.
I was just noticing that my keyboard was like not in the right place, in fact, and I think that was why my fingers were off.
You know what? I actually bought one of those cool desk mat, like leather desk mat thingies, so that
I did
like, yeah, like so I can like make sure my stuff is in the proper position at all times, because just sitting in a sea of black, your keyboard ends up moving left to right kind of naturally throughout the day.
My challenge is my children who are slightly older than your children, which is that one of the children sits at my desk in the evenings to do her schoolwork, which often results in things being moved around.
Yeah, Max has his own desk and computer and keyboard.
Well, so does she, but she likes to be able to be like away from everyone else.
I get that.
Yeah. All right, so let's just say, for the sake of argument, that we don't need to install anything else and try to give it a try. One of the things that, so what we're going to do is we are going to create a file that will, so let's just get rid of this for now. And we'll just leave that like, oops, leave that like that. And then we are going to VI. Yeah, it took too much. What was it? Nextcloud.conf, they call it.
Yeah.
Conf. And put in that our Apache config, and we are going to steal it. One thing to note between the different Linuxes is, if you didn't know this already, where your HTML lands is different in different places on different Linuxes. So just make sure you get the right one. Oops. Apparently, I also hit the volume key. So now we have our Nextcloud conf, and we can go back to our container file and put it in the right place. So we can say that was not the correct buffer. Stop that. Nope. I guess I lost it. So
Apache is the recommended web server, right? Like they're not.
Well, actually, actually, so I think we should do.
No, let's not go.
Maybe we should do Apache first, because I do know that they that a lot of the configurations I've seen are with PHP FPM on Nginx.
Yeah.
And so I was just looking to see. So I was wondering if we should do the Apache one, and then we could always switch, right?
Yeah,
later.
like Nginx and Apache, as far as like, I think for this case, like the way you install PHP is maybe a little different, right? The way you configure it, I guess, might be a little different in the Nginx case compared to the Apache case, but that's probably the only difference.
Right.
And when you're dealing with PHP, right, like it's always best to follow the recommended guidance, even though like sometimes you know better, right? Like, yeah, sure, I could probably make Nginx more performant than Apache, sure, but why? Why do I need to do that? You know, like unless I have a need, there's no reason to do that right now, right? For this case. So if I start seeing performance issues with Apache and I can't tune it, but I know I could tune it with Nginx because I'm just more familiar with it, I can swap them out, right? A web server is the requirement, essentially. They just suggest Apache. Although I'm surprised they don't have Nginx directions.
They do. I found them.
Okay.
So, and I actually fell into the trap. So let's call this. I don't know. We need a. Let's see. I can do. Oh my goodness! I am really needing coffee. Oh, and it lost all of my changes.
Oh, good. That's good. You're good at typing.
Yeah, exactly. Let's say 15. And let's give this a name of. Another tidbit that I didn't learn for many, many years is that example.com is an actual example, and it is listed in an RFC, kind of like 192, 168, which actually has a couple others as well. And so you can always use it as a test bed for things.
Did you know that there was a time in the Windows NT 4 days where Microsoft used example.com as the default? And many people stood up their NT4 domains as example.com, and they quickly realized that was a problem.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I used Windows NT a fair amount, actually. I'm surprised I didn't know that.
Well,
all right.
You know, you and I know that example.com is an RFC thing, right? Like I knew that back in the day when I was using NT4. If you don't know that in advance, then yeah.
I didn't actually. Well, I might have, but I like I said, I learned that relatively recently. But actually, primarily looking for captive portal solutions, right? So one of the problems with captive portals, if you try to go to an SSL site, it's going to tank. So if you go to http //www.example.com, it will always be there at a non-SSL URL, so you can at least get a captive portal to wake up. So yeah, interesting. So let's see if mod FCGI is here. It is not. So we're going to assume we're not using it right now. And just looking for. All right, so that should be all fine for, because we don't need, I think mod rewrite will already be enabled, but we can always come back and check if it's not. So a couple things are pretty URLs, which, you know, with something like the term pretty URL, you would really think that that would be something that would be built in. But, you know, I just work here. So let's see, actually, we could just check and see if rewrite's here.
It should be. I have never seen
Oh.
it. What? Are you?
It does not appear to be here. Interesting.
It's part of HTTP though.
Yeah, well, we could build it and then check. So that'd be another way to do it too.
Yeah, I could not imagine Apache not having the redirect module. Right,
yeah,
like baked in.
Yeah,
right, like that'd be nuts.
Well, it is. I mean, it is still a separate module. I just don't know if it's. It might be part of the meta package, right?
That's what I think. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I could not imagine Apache not being able to handle like 301s and 302s with grace, and by default, right?
Right. So why don't we go ahead and build this so we can actually take a look and see what it's doing. Podman build T, and let's call it big Nextcloud, and a dot. Our next build, maybe we should do the level up point so we don't forget. Do Jeopardy music.
Yeah, sorry, I'm off my game. I'm still dealing with Max's cold that he gave me, which is not COVID, but it's still cold, so it sucks. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, my wife, I think, is also getting one. That's winter.
Yeah, welcome to it. I mean, my daughter's already had the flu, so Jesus.
Yeah, right. Okay, just one quick point I wanted to make is this nice capital P on the run command allows. Actually, let's take a look. But the capital P on the run command says expose all the ports that you have. So let's see if I can remember how to do this. Oh boy, not that way. Run label, that's it.
Yeah.
Let's see if it has one. Display, run, and let's say big Nextcloud, because it should have inherited it. Does not have a run label. So I just thought it might be a good way to get a hint of how we might want to run this.
Rendev says he learned about capital P the hard way the other day.
Oh, really?
Poor guy.
Yeah. One of the things I don't like as much about Podman that actually Docker used to do is that Docker, whenever you generated ports, it would just count up, which is which is really nice if you're debugging, a container. But Podman will actually generate a new ID kind of at random within a range, obviously. But it means you have to kind of go back and check the port that it decided to use every time. There's good security reasons for the way that Podman does it, but it still is. It still sometimes is a pain. So, oops.
What happened?
Nothing. So I'm going to pass in an entry point because my suspicion is that if I run this container normally, it's going to run HTTPD, right? So as the entry point. So I'm going to change the entry point so that I can get into Bash without it running. And just kind of make sure that it's set it up correctly, more for paranoia reasons than for good reason. So where did it want us to put the conf? It should be in Etsy, right?
Etsy,
Yeah.
Apache or HTTPD, whatever. Yeah.
And I can't imagine it didn't work, but just in case. Cool. Okay. And now, you know what I don't know how to do is ask Apache what mods are enabled. I
A2
know
mod list, I think.
Do we have that on?
See if you have
on
A2
our
mod. A2 tab. Just see
Yeah.
what happens.
No.
Dagnabbit.
Oh, actually, haha.
Ooh.
So another thing we are going to do is
gotta run
we
as
are going to
privileged.
give root.
Yeah.
Actually, we just want to change which user we are. So I don't need to
that's
run with any more
right.
privilege, but I just want to be root in the container. Yeah. So I don't I wonder if they're there somewhere. But in the Debian derivatives is where all the A2 tools are. We don't have them in Fedora and RHEL land. I've never quite understood why. I think part of it has to do with how the content's set up. So let's see if.
So.
Oh, we're not going to have less, are we?
Does HTTPD the executable?
Yeah.
I'm assuming so. So like just do an HTTPD dash help.
Yeah. Let's see.
And see what it spits out.
Oh, it wants to launch it.
Of course.
All right. Well, it at least got that part there.
Okay.
So it's in the conf file. I know that. Or like it's enabled in the conf file. So, oops. And oh, look, there's even a file called magic. That makes it better. So actually, maybe we just grep it. Just in case. So it's not. I suspect it's not there. So we're gonna have to find it. I think they might be called, or they might be HTTPD.
I forget.
Serious mod. Yeah, they are just all mod.
Yeah, they're just called mod. They were, yeah. I thought it would be HTTPD mod, but I guess not.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised as well.
HTTPD tools. That might be helpful. I wonder what that is.
That does seem useful. Yum info HTTPD tools. Well, that's not very helpful info. Let's see. How about repo query? QL maybe? No.
HTTPD dash capital M will list currently loaded modules. Says
there
Andrew.
We go. Haha. There we go. Look at that.
Yeah, I knew it was.
Luckily, we have smart people on the channel. All right, let's see if we.
They're not listed in alphabetical order.
Yeah, I was looking at that too.
Huh.
Are they?
No, they're not.
Oh, there's the rewrite
there's
module.
Rewrite, but yeah, they're not because rewrite was above proxy. So yeah.
Oh, point. Right. Yeah. Okay. So cool. Okay. So we have the rewrite module, which is really all we were trying to find out, which that was a lot of effort for very little benefit. So we need to make sure that the htaccess stuff is set, but we'll do that because we don't have an htaccess file yet. What I'm a little confused about is like, where is the download Nextcloud step, which you would think would have taken place already? Because it's talking about prereqs, but htaccess usually comes with the.
Wait, go back.
See it?
Scroll up. Installation. No, scroll. Example install on CentOS OS. 8. Last link in the bottom paragraph under installation on Linux.
Aha.
There you go. So install Apache,
Cool.
install PHP, install.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to do those.
Yeah.
We got PHP, and then they're asking for Remy's repo. Really nice guy. Does PHP maintenance for Red Hat, as well as maintains his own kind of extra set of packages. Has successfully gotten his son, I think, into being a package maintainer as well.
Nice. That's
Which
one
I
way to
thought
make
was
sure
pretty
your
cool.
legacy lives on.
Exactly. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and install the database, and we'll do it here so we can take advantage of caching. And let's just use, we'll follow along their directions and just use Maria. And hopefully this is going to work. So one thing we're going to have to keep in mind is that we're not going to have handy system control steps. So we have to make sure we get the database to run and stay running.
It'd be nice if you could execute a playbook inside of a container to set that up for you.
I have actually done that
I feel
before.
like you can do that. Yeah. Because like that's where I'm like, oh, you want me to set up a database? Okay, Ansible Galaxy.
All right, because we're inheriting from this PHP container, we need to make sure we switch to the root user, and then we'll make sure we switch back. And if you recall, we saw it before. It's the user is called default. So we'll just switch back and forth so that we can actually build the container. And subscription manager is operating container mode. So let's see, did it care what version of Maria? So it is saying CentOS 8, so the default for Maria is probably correct. However, this is an opportunity where we could use an app stream and declare one, even if it's not the default.
Correct.
Actually, so we're building, so let's do internet points real quick.
Yeah, why not? You still have to install Redis and everything too, so
yeah. Yeah. All right, so we're not seeing a lot of jitter here. Sweet internet points. And
my man, what's up, bro?
There are definitely some opportunities for ways to kind of jump ahead. I'm going to put this week's show in the chat.
Thank you.
There it is. My nice YubiKey generated codes, which still kind of cracks me up. So well, I kind of want to,
whatever reason.
Am I giving away part of like Red Hat's RSA side? Except I understand how RSA works. I don't understand how something like a YubiKey works, because I don't know how it's generating the codes and has the server know what those codes are. I know it confuses me. Noah Friction still on top with 1,200 points. Narendev with 1,100, and Joe Fuzz. If you notice, there was a big jump for Joe Fuzz here because he crossed that 5-episode mark. So don't forget, you can go back and watch the old episodes on YouTube. All of them are on YouTube. Some of them are on Twitch. And one of my updates I have to do is go back, and I'm probably going to repoint all of the show notes to the YouTube versions of the episodes, just so they're persistent. But you can go back and watch them. Go get those codes and enter them on the form as well, and they will just show up for me, show up in my points calculator, and you can collect those old points and give Noah Friction here a run for their money. Narendev says he's not sure which show he missed. Feel free to ping me on Discord.
On YouTube.
Right. You could go through and do them all, or you can ping me on Discord and I can tell you which ones that you have not done.
There's that too.
If you would like. And that's also true not just for Narendev. It is not a feature of being in second place. Anyone can ask me what shows that they have missed, and I will tell them. So we're up to 11. So theoretically, let's see, Quick and Dirty off of just the shows themselves, there would be a largest possible number of points would be 1,700 points, if I'm doing my arithmetic correctly. So, but then you can also earn points for going to the Discord. There's also doing points for submitting an issue or whatever. And you can go to the achievements page, and I will even throw a link to that. Or sorry, activities. I always want to say achievements. I don't know why.
Is that an Xbox thing? You be an
Yeah,
Xbox
exactly,
player?
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So all the different ways to earn points are on the activities, and they, kind of some of the higher effort ones get more points than some of the lower effort ones.
Fair enough.
And JP Day says DevConf US was a really good show. And
Awesome.
thank you. I also would like to thank my co-hosts or co-organizers, Sally O'Malley and Urvashi Monani, I think is how you say her name. I can't, I've heard it 67 times and I just can't get my mouth to wrap around it. I can hear it in my head, but I cannot say her last name.
I feel
exactly.
That pain. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I was really excited to be able to pull off a virtual conference for the first time.
JP says you should do it virtual every year.
Well, so as I think we've talked about here, and I've talked about with a bunch of people, I do not believe that we will ever go back to fully in-person events. I think there will be a virtual component to all future events, and I think it will be much more inclusive that way, as well as, but what we still haven't figured out, right? It's like we're kind of at the other end of the spectrum right now where the thing is entirely virtual. What we haven't figured out or I haven't seen a lot of people talking about is how are we going to marry those two? How do we do a hybrid so that the people who are doing the virtual only thing are still hallway tracking with people who are physically there, which I think which would be awesome. So JP Dade also comments on difficult last names with a name like Langdon. People have had a hard time with my name my whole life, even though it's written exactly how it sounds, and it's still hard for people to say. Sorry.
Lando?
Exactly. In high school, I still remember them trying to figure out a nickname for me, and going through a bunch of different things. I will just leave it at I ended up with Clubber. And given my age, my name, maybe you can try to figure out where that nickname comes from. It is not NSFW or anything else, so it's kind of fun.
Well, you are from Boston, so you could be clubbing baby seals. So
that's true,
possible.
but I'm not actually from Boston.
Okay.
I was actually born in France and then moved all over the U.S. until I finally settled in Boston in 2000.
Okay.
So, but that won't help you with the origin story.
No.
It would only help you. It is based on pop culture. So I did want to pause here because I did want to ask quickly before the end. Is this the right next thing? Is what other kinds of content would the audience like to see?
So Narendev mentioned something in the beginning. He had like a laundry list. Let me go back and look. For a future episode, container security, which we can't get enough of. User management in containers. That's an interesting one. SC Linux best practices, like a cheat sheet or a cookbook, steps to follow. So those are all kind of like
containers.
Yeah. And like, I know we have an SC Linux cheat sheet on opensource.com. I feel like I know we have a coloring book for it.
The coloring book is hilarious.
Yeah. And you can download that at this ebooks link I'm dropping in chat right now. And then the container user stuff, like I'm interested in that, right? Like, because we just talked about like you can just kind of jump into a container as a user, but Nurendev, I'm curious what you mean by that. So like add some color to that for us if you could.
Just reading for any other so sorry, you said or maybe Narendev or other people said, you said user management containers, SE Linux cheat sheet. What was the last
Container
one?
security.
Container security, that's what it was. And then some of the other ones I had on my list were app streams and containers, system D in a container, and maybe we should do the system D in a container next to deal with this problem that we're going to have with MariaDB running.
Right.
So we don't have to go and use what's that really popular solution that I can't think of the name of? It's like, it's not Playground, it's so there's a
UBI
solution
with a knit is what you need. But yes,
yeah, well, no,
I know what you're talking about. Like you don't want the fake run levels and
right
stuff, right?
Like, not because there's anything inherently bad with that, but it's like I would much rather use the experts init tools, like the people who actually work on MariaDB. I'd much rather use their init tools to launch their tools rather than me hacking together yet another startup.
Right.
Because I
Let's
don't
not do
understand
that.
why I would do
No.
that.
Okay, cool.
Cool. So let's see. Any other comments, ideas? We could
feel free
in
to
the
drop in
interview list.
Discord. Yeah, like if you want to see certain people. I know everybody asked for Scott McCarty and Dan
Marky
Walsh.
Mark, apparently.
Marky Mark too. We had
They all
Dan on
grew
the
up in
channel a little
Dorchester,
while
so.
back. We had Scott on. He probably owes me an episode, maybe, but he loves talking about container securities, right? Okay, so Narendev says, like I have seen in some Flutter-based containers where user is defined so that the default Flutter version is not changed by users unless it is the user defined in the image. Okay, interesting. That makes sense though, right? Like how you did root and then switch to default to do certain things.
Right. And I jump back and forth.
Narendev, DM me one of those or send me a link to one of those images, and that might be good for something for me to help you with. Dive in.
Yeah, or just throw it in the Discord channel.
Yeah, exactly.
And then other people could see it too.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. There's the punchline. So I was kind of thinking we would maybe wrap up here. Just we're at a good pausing point. And I wanted to see if there was anything else. Anybody else? I wanted to see if anyone had any other ideas. JP Dade says he saw Dan Walsh speak 3 times and learned something new every time. Yeah, I've spoken to him like 100 times and learned something new every time.
I interviewed him about stuff I knew about, and I learned something new every time.
right, exactly. Yeah, but we definitely have, I think Dan Walsh is a great example. The thing is, he is asked for interviews all the time. Right. So some other people I've been thinking about too are Dusty Mabe, who is a big, was a Rel consultant for a long time, and now worked in Ansible for a while, and then also worked in containers with CoreOS. And so that might be interesting. Stephen Gallagher, who is the server experience architect for Rel, and uses containers a lot, had a lot. I spent a lot of time with him working on app streams. And then Matt Mycini, who is also a longtime Rel admin.
Yes, thank you. I was about to say,
has a similar job to.
What about old Cleverbeard?
Yes, exactly. But yeah.
And then Joe Fuzz chimes in here at the last minute. Not sure if it's out of scope, but creating build containers would be interesting to see. So I think that's on your list at some point in the future. Build containers.
Yeah, I don't know if I had it written down though. I was just looking at my actual list. So yeah, that's a good one. And as privilege for being in 3rd place on the points, we will take it more seriously.
Yes.
And I'm entirely kidding, to be clear.
Yeah. Can we get Nick Jackson from HashiCorp? I don't know Nick, but we'll track him down.
We can ask.
Yeah, what would you like to see from HashiCorp on the Level Up Hour or the channel in general? Let me know in.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, HashiCorp, depending on what it is, might be more appropriate for a general OpenShift TV show.
Yeah, like if we're talking about Vault and secrets and stuff like that, that's like we're going to cover that in the GitOps happy hour on Thursdays or every other Thursday with Christian. And then coming up at 11 a.m. Eastern, 1500 UTC is the OpenShift administrators office hours. And we can definitely get, some folks on that. That would be cool.
Cool. All right. So should we wrap here?
Yeah. Andy Klemenko is another name.
Yeah.
Write that one down.
All righty. Hold on just a second. Yeah. So
Nomad, Pulumi. Okay, cool. Yeah, we can talk about stuff like that on other channels for sure.
And then one thing I did want to throw in there just real quick is that if you didn't get a chance to say something or wanted to come up with something, you can always file an issue.
Yes.
And just file an issue there as a here's an idea for a show.
Yeah, exactly. Like here's my idea. Submit.
Right.
That's it. That's all you have to do. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, you probably have to log in first.
Well, yeah, that helps.
But that's it. So cool. All right. So we call it a show.
Yeah.
You want to tell us what else is happening today?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, Andrew and I will be on for the OpenShift Administrator office hours at 11 a.m. Eastern. And then at noon Eastern, guess who's going to be on? Sysdig folks. Fireside chat with Sysdig on OpenShift Commons. And then I have a SIG security meeting and a SIG Contribex meeting. And then the scalable multiplayer game design with OpenShift. Eric's show, where they're doing the game building is pretty awesome. And yes, JP Dade. I know he was at Docker and now is at Stack Rocks. I'll hunt him down if need be. Actually, I think we met here in Detroit once at a meetup. So yeah, that should be easy enough. Yeah. So stick around. We got shows at 11 noon and 2 Eastern. So yes.
One in an hour and one in let's math for a minute. Would you say 4 hours?
4 hours.
Take.
Yeah.
Because time zones are hard, especially when we have places that do half-hour splits, for example, or 45-minute splits. Although I don't think we have a whole lot of North Koreans on the channel.
John Osborne's a good one. Can you wwrite that one down too?
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, speaking of, if we want to do a little bit of Fed stuff too, maybe we could talk to David Etz.
Yeah, I mean the public sector has its own show too, so we can get him on that.
Oh yeah. If you haven't had David Etz on the show, on the public sector show, he would be a great one. He's awesome.
Yeah. Let me write that down.
He and Gunnar used to do, or maybe even still do, a quite a good podcast, which is and have done for a long time now.
Jamie Duncan no longer works for Red Hat. He's over at VMware. What is Fed stuff? When we say Fed stuff here in the U.S. and RenDev, we're talking about the federal government, the U.S. government.
Lots of
public sector needs are different than, like government needs are different than, commercial needs sometimes, right? Regulatory reasons, all that fun stuff. So yeah, we say federal, Oh, he's at Google now? Dang, that's right. He moved again. That's right. I forgot about Jamie leaving VMware. So yeah, maybe I should link up with him, see what he's up to. But yeah, cool. All right. Thanks, everybody. We will take all of your feedback into consideration for future shows.
Exactly. And remember, points help.
Points. All right, everybody. You have a great day. And thank you again, Langdon. And we'll talk next week.
Yep, next week.
All right, so stick around and there'll be more content for you here.